I'm Len Knight.
My name is Toby Rudolf.
I don't know what I'm doing.
What are we doing?
We are stuck in the middle.
A Stuck in the Middle podcast. It's the shit.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
You're an idiot for not watching it.
Welcome back to the Stuck in the Middle podcast. My good friend Tobias, Eric, Rudolf, and a special guest, a very special guest actually, the first female we have been lucky enough to have on this show. Thank you for coming on, Alana.
You're welcome. It's iconic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great moment for us.
I will treasure this forever.
This is going to go down as one of the greatest days of my life, so thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. You obviously couldn't get Dua Lipa here this week.
No, she's next week.
Oh, yeah.
we wanted you first.
I thought I was just back up, but
No,
that's fine. That's
it's
fine.
going to be next week. Dua Lipa, Oprah Winfrey, I believe,
I
is
think
after
she's
that.
Ellen after that.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Wow.
We got a long list. Obviously, number one podcast in
You're on
Australia.
the up.
So.
Michelle Obama.
Yeah, she's a
Next
maybe.
month.
We don't know if we want her. We don't know if we want her.
Maybe
to come on.
Barack can just come on and...
Oh, you're not that picky. Okay.
No. We got a pretty strict process to who can come on here, who's allowed on. So yeah, you can see yourself lucky.
Honoured.
Yeah, Alana Pearson, welcome.
Thank you.
Who are you? For those that don't know you.
Me. Oh, I am.
What do you do?
Oh.
Where you been? Where'd you start?
I'm in the racing industry. I have been in the racing industry since I left school, much to the disappointment to my parents.
So you're not a horse, so what part of the
I'm
racing
not a
industry
horse,
are
so
you?
yes.
Which part in particular?
So I've been assistant trainer to Gay Waterhouse for the last 5 years.
Big game.
Just parted ways with them. There's a few things in the pipeline, but
Didn't pay you enough? What was going on?
Not enough money.
Oh, it's never enough money. It's never enough money.
Oh, no, I thought the car you were driving here didn't look too bad, didn't look too cheap, so...
That's a lease. That's a company
That's a
car.
lease.
That's probably a company car.
Yeah.
So that's going.
It's the image.
Yeah.
Image, of course.
Yeah.
We just both drove here on one scooter, Image.
Yeah.
Look, it's a vibe.
Connection.
Yeah.
We want to cuddle up and connect.
We do.
On the way here, yeah. Really synchronise our thoughts.
Correct.
Yeah.
Alana, I wanted to ask, so you said that you left school and to the disappointment of your parents, went to the racing industry.
I don't know if she said that.
No, she did say that.
No,
yeah.
well, essentially, I mean, they took the time to private school me, and I was like, I'll go to uni, I'll defer it for a year. Started riding racehorses, and then that was it. And
Because I always just like sort of gathered that racing is almost like generational in like for friends that I sort of come across. It's always their parents have done it or their uncles in it or this sort of thing. That wasn't the case for you?
Very much so. No, I mean, I grew up riding horses. My my mum, she does dressage, which is a whole different discipline.
Olympics.
In dancing
Dressage, what's
horses.
dressage?
It's like a horse does this and dances.
Oh, so she's on horses though, like same sort of game.
I grew up on property in Brisbane, had horses my whole life, rode.
Road.
Like road horses, yeah.
Oh, I think they rode boats.
Oh, no.
Like road horses.
We were about to start a 10-minute discussion about how Toby used to row and how you row. I was going to sit here and just gaze off into the stars and probably go home.
Absolutely not. I prefer like ones that you can drive. I do the whole rowing. It's too hard work.
You'll do it yourself. It sucks. Yeah. So you did
I don't like
row.
doing the work.
No one does.
So you don't like doing the work. Oh, interesting. Okay. We still talking about horses.
Anyway. So I left school and I was like, I'm kind of, I hated school. So I got by like quite easily with minimal effort. But I was like, I left and I was like, I want to defer this for a year. Anyway, I started riding racehorses. A friend of mine was like, come to the track. You'd be perfect. Got on racehorses and that was it. Done.
What does you be perfect into? What is like?
Because I grew up riding. I have no fear. So the crazier the horse, the better. I love the adrenaline of it. So it's like sport, like you guys, like getting out on the field. Like it's like, it's the adrenaline of it. So did that.
So did you start as a jockey? Is that like safe to say, or
track work? Yeah.
Track work.
So you're shoveling shit for the first couple of weeks?
No, just riding.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of where we started.
Never.
No,
None of that. Never worked in the stables, but
just patting horses before you rode it.
I was like, please. Yeah, those ones. Yeah,
I've been there. Yeah.
And I rode in Brisbane for a few years, and I moved to Sydney maybe 5 years ago for Gay Waterhouse, and I rode track work for her for a couple of years before I had a really bad accident.
Yeah, just touch on that. So you rode horses first, and obviously that was your path at that stage. You just wanted to be a rider and a jockey.
Exactly. I mean, it's what I grew up doing. It's what I loved. I was like, oh, sweet, you can do this for a job. Like, how good. I was young at the time. I was like, uni, what?
Young at the time. How old are you now, sorry?
I'm 29. I'm older than both
Young
of
at
you.
the time. We're young. We're all young. Dan's old. He's 41. We're all young though. We're okay.
Don't be like Dan.
Dan, you're too old. You're fired.
You're fired again, mate. We need someone young. And
pipe
inject
down.
Yeah. See, I love our guest room
Pipe
on
down.
it.
So as you were saying, so you were young once, and go on.
Young one. I'm like 30 like on New Year's Eve, so it's
Okay.
I'm
So
it's
halfway till. No, it's halfway.
it's
done.
getting to me. It's really
Halfway to the grave.
Yeah.
midlife crisis sort of shit. Anyway, so I rode track work for Gay for a couple of years and had a bad accident.
Oh, so you rode for Gay as well?
Yeah. So
Oh, so I didn't know
2 years
this.
in, or 2.5 years in, I was galloping a horse at Ramwick for her, and the horse broke down in the straight at
Emotionally?
Ramwick. No. Well,
Very-
you know,
what was going on with it?
I'm sure
Long
it
face?
wasn't that happy about it. But anyway, so the horse fell, I fell, crushed my shoulder, dislocated and crushed my shoulder, ended up like rounding my back. Anyway, so long story short, I had a shoulder replacement and
Replacement?
had a shoulder replacement.
At how old?
But, 3 years ago now. So
There's
yeah,
a metal
I mean-
shoulder in there.
Yeah, so my whole shoulder replacement, but because what it did was when I landed, it dislocated my shoulder and snapped the ball of my joint off, ended up rounding my back. It snapped all the nerves, so I had no feeling in my arm. So I've got back the feeling in my hand, but I still have no feeling in like the whole top half of my arm. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that you weren't talking smack. Is that okay that I did that? I hope it was
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, stop touching me.
So you can feel it.
Safe word.
Pineapple.
Wow,
But anyway,
what was that
so
like?
I was in rehab for about 2 years. About a year in, I was like, look, I'll get back. I'll ride again. This,
Yeah.
that. Like by the end of the first year, they were like, look, it's probably not looking like it. Like I can't lift my right arm. I've got no feeling in it. Like I can't touch my head. Like I've just got movement like down lower. So I always wanted to train myself. So it was always going to go that way. But
Just came sooner than expected.
it came sooner than expected. And look, I could be way worse off. It's only.
Well, at least you got an arm still.
I mean, like,
Well,
at least-
exactly. At least I can still
Yeah,
walk. Look,
yeah,
there's so many
yeah.
people way worse off than me.
At least you have the second half of your life to live as well.
Exactly. Like,
The
could be
last 30
worse. Could be
years.
worse. Anyway, so it just pushed me into the training side of things sooner. And after I went through rehab of that, Gay was like, "Look, I'd like to take you on to assist me in the training side of things." So I just prematurely started that, and I've been there for the last few years.
Wow, what was that like? Obviously, the realization that what you love doing and then changing over.
It was intense. I think because I grew up riding horses, and I grew up doing all that, and then was in the racing industry for so long. Like when you get told you can't do something that you love, same as you guys,
course, it'll be shattering.
career-ending injury. It's shattering. So, and so it's pretty hard.
How'd you
It's pretty
cope?
hard. At the start, I think I was told when I first had the surgery, he's like, it's very unlikely that you'll get back. But my mentality is like, what would you know?
Please.
Like, I'll get back. The whole year, I'm just like smashing physio. And when you finally realise, you've had a lot of time to realise that too. Then it's not. You've had time to work towards like maybe the idea of being able to do it, and then the realisation, you've just got to accept it. And I always probably wanted to move on to where I am now, so it just happened sooner. Is what it is. Everything happens for a reason.
For sure.
Yeah, that's good mentality.
So training horses, can you just pretend for a second, which is not the truth, that I know nothing about training horses? Can you break it down for me? Because I see them swimming in pools.
Yeah.
I see them running on tracks. I see them being ejaculated for semen. I see a bunch of things with these horses.
What are
So-
you
Where-
searching?
where
What are you
are you?
googling?
Where are you for these events?
No Googling, no live, just what I see, what I
You
see
did- you did
around.
live?
Just general knowledge.
General knowledge, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is this your general knowledge? Or-
I haven't seen all this happen, but I've heard. You hear stories. You also, yeah,
So it is
Okay.
general knowledge. So you've heard stories.
yeah. Toby passes on the stories.
There's a
I
lot to
gain
training
that.
horses. There's a track work. There's a galloping. There's treadmills.
There are treadmills.
We have
Horse treadmills.
Yeah, horse
Why
treadmills.
treadmills as opposed to...
Okay, treadmills are really good for horses that have leg injuries and all sorts of rehab. So if you want to exercise your horse without the weight of a rider on
Okay,
their back
yeah.
on a really consistent surface, it's a really good tool for.
How
for
big are
that.
these
I was
treadmills?
about to say normal size. It's probably
Yeah.
a tricky little.
Look, the length of a horse and the width of a horse, pretty much.
So
Not that big.
Not that big.
I mean,
Horses
like
are big.
they
normal,
are,
bigger
but
than
like
a normal treadmill.
yeah, it seems so.
That's
yeah.
what we're getting at.
It's
We're
probably
like,
like,
what are the dimensions?
it's probably like 3 times bigger than a normal treadmill.
I guess a horse is 3 times bigger than a man. I guess that makes sense.
Sounds exciting.
Does sound exciting.
Yeah, so there's swimming pools,
The
there's
speed will be faster too.
walkers. Wow, you'd think. Yeah.
I just want to get a grip here, just put it in context in my brain so we can move forward. I want to visualize it so I can feel like I'm there while we're watching the horses train, run, ejaculate, all the things. Do they ejaculate on the treadmill?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, just for training.
Maybe you should like to incorporate that. That could be the difference maker.
I don't see how that's going to help.
Neither do I, but you can only try. You can only try.
Look,
We're just thinking of
There's no rules, I guess. There's no rules for training horses, so whatever works for you. I mean,
So what is the would you call it hydrotherapy for the horses?
hydrotherapy. So yeah, it's very good for exercise without any pressure on their joints.
Yeah.
So
Big animals, of course.
Of course. So it's really good for that. It's good cardio without any pressure on any of their body. Take them to the beach.
Really?
Are they predominantly
Take them to the
freestyle, or
beach.
they can go forwards?
At Brighton there, if you're going to take off on the plane, if you look out to your right, there's the ocean. Like they take them in there.
Is
If
the
you
horse
look,
obviously well trained, you come back, or they just want to keep going?
no, they come back. No, you ride them out there.
It's not like a leash in a dog.
I'm just like, go like.
No, like you only go in like death. It's like for recovery.
So it's still a rider on it in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So these horses, they are professional athletes. Probably they
They
get.
are athletes.
They're treated better than human beings.
Recover- what I mean, yeah.
recovery is more important than anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
So like, I know that there's a lot of animal activists
That's
out
not
there.
just you guys.
Yeah, look, we're not the center of everyone's universe, just our own.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well said. Well said.
We just obviously I can't remember what I was going to say. I was too fixated on myself again. I don't know.
Something
Oh,
about
nothing
professional-
new, yeah.
Professional athletes, horses, center of our universe.
Yeah, they'll come back to me. I don't know. You guys going with your question? I just got absolute mind blank.
No worries at all.
Looking
Now,
out to the greenery around our environment. Sorry.
no, it's okay. Oh, by the way, what are all the squawking?
beautiful,
It
yeah.
sounds like there's like
Right.
a aviary in my ear.
Gang wars.
Because we're on tour.
We are.
Oh, team on tour, yes.
Oh yeah, we're at a new location. We're taking it.
We
You know,
are.
first girl on the podcast, first lady.
Wanted to treat her nicely, take her to the Mosman Rowers.
Yeah,
take her
nice,
out
beautiful
to-
view down here at Mosman. Quiet sanctuary we're surrounding ourselves in. Thank you for the Mosman Rowers for putting us up.
Yeah, it's appreciated.
Now, the betting, the gambling industry.
Betting. That's a whole different side.
It is, isn't it?
It
so,
is.
did you ever work in that space at all, or have you always just been around? Would you say the good side?
Yeah. If there's a good side,
If
yeah.
there's a good side.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Betting comes hand in hand with training racehorses. So
So
Who
how
doesn't
many
like-
races, in your opinion, are
Fixed.
fixed and cheeky?
no, I don't think so. I mean, maybe more in the country, more out. Woof woof. I think you probably get away with a bit more. Here in like Metro, it's
too
very
governed, yeah.
very heavily regulated. So
So just name the areas you think maybe. allegedly,
Mudgy,
allegedly, there
Musselbrook.
could be some dodgy, cheeky boys out there making some decisions.
it's a few cheeky ones, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just leave that up to your imagination.
We will. Another one I wanted to ask. So, obviously, I don't know much about the racing industry. I've done my research here, obviously, as you can tell. I'm a very researchal kind of
Number
guy.
one podcast, we
He
gotta
got
really keep
swimming
up with
pools. He got that far.
Yeah.
But the name Waterhouse is a name I've heard synonymous with racing my entire life. You have Gay Waterhouse. Her son's name is
Thomas?
Tom Waterhouse.
He's more on the betting side.
He used to
her
be in those
husband.
really annoying ads. that I
Oh
used to
yeah.
see.
Yep.
Used to do my head in, regardless.
Yep.
What is it about the Waterhouse? What is it about Gay that makes her gay? That makes her so synonymous with racing?
Look, I think her dad was a champion trainer himself, and
Generational, like I was saying
it's
before.
generational. It's generational. But she went through a very hard time to get her training license. I think it was like 92 or something. Her husband was at the time banned from the racing industry for a betting scandal for fixing
the country?
races.
This was in Queensland, actually.
Yeah,
I
it was
just
in
saw-
Queensland.
I
Fine
just saw
cotton
this.
scandal. Of course, you've been
Yes.
doing your homework. Brilliant.
Yes,
You have
yes.
not. Thank you.
I've done my other
Thank you,
homework, okay?
Liam.
There's two people with this podcast. He's got his strings, I've got my strings, okay?
I saw that with the Batuta Advocate boys. They at that premiere, that was what their show was about. That entire scandal.
It was a fine cotton scandal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's news to me,
at
so I
the,
can't wait
at the
to be filled in.
time, you could not hold a trainer's license if your spouse was disqualified. But also, she was one of the only women at the time that wanted to hold a trainer's license.
Pioneer.
So, yeah, 100%. So
Fly that flag.
it was
Love
a good
that.
reason not to give her a license for a long time, you know. And then when she eventually did get it, she made a big impact. She really paved her way. Still a very male-dominated industry, but she's really one of the pioneers. She's incredible.
What makes a, like, obviously we're very, excuse my ignorance, like what makes a horse trainer better than another horse trainer? Like how much different can it be?
Attention to detail.
Okay, explain. What do you,
You
what
know,
do
like-
you do better?
What details?
You know, like you're there every morning. You're watching how your horses recover. You're watching how they work. You're really in tune with every horse. Every horse is very different. You can't train every horse under, one banner. not the same thing works for one horse as every other horse. So you've got to really think outside the box, like what works for this one, won't work for the next one. You've got to really identify that. It's trying to get the best out of every horse. Like if you guys were horses, like sets of blinkers, absolutely, like concentrate, you know.
Get the ADHD ones with
These
one
two will be
view.
running along like, oh, there's a girl horse. Like,
I wouldn't throw stones in a glass house, Alana. That's what I'm going to say.
I think we had this conversation once about like you guys, all the horse world, always talk about the emotional state of the horse and this and that. I'm like, honestly,
oh, they're
it's
athletes.
just-
So do you want to be in a good mental state before you perform
Yeah,
like
but
that?
I'm a human being. I'm not a horse.
They don't have feelings?
Yeah, like I'm not saying they don't have feelings, but like I'm not sure how you want to try and look at me in the eye and tell me you identify what they're feeling because once again they don't speak.
Makes the job even harder. Makes the job even harder.
As it is.
that's
It's so much harder. They
100%.
can't tell me like
Oh, my
Alana,
hammy
you're-
sore.
It's all
Yeah.
yeah, but like you got to.
I want to go for a swim on
So
the
you have
beach.
to identify all that. That's why you have track work riders that usually ride the same horse every day. They can be like, oh, this horse doesn't feel as good as it did last week. Like it's doing this or it's doing that. Like you've got to pick up on all these little things.
So sorry, can you still ride horses now or not at all?
No.
Fully not anymore. Even just like a
Look,
slow
I could go for a little ride, but like
Not
not
track work.
track work. Absolutely
Depending on
not.
the horse is feeling, we'll just figure that out. It's got to be a bit of guesswork. That's what I was saying. There's horse psychologists and dog psychologists. There's a bit of like woo-woo, like I guess, I don't know. It's a bit of a... Look, I'll leave it up to interpretation. I don't believe in it. You had a dog psychologist, remember that?
Oh, I did too.
Did you?
Biggest hoax ever.
Tell me.
Well, the sad story is the ending of the story was the dog had to be put down because it didn't work.
Yeah.
This is ruthless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Followed it to a T, whatever was given.
Yeah, so he was along the lines of you can't. So when the dog's downstairs, you can't pat it. It has to realise it's a dog. You're not allowed to walk it. You have to.
So what was the problem?
It was aggressive. It
Okay,
was like
all right.
It was one of those.
yeah, it would like bowl kids over and would attack other dogs, and it was
Did
just.
you bring this dog up? Yeah.
She came that way.
Oh, okay.
Rescue,
No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay.
Rescue,
That's better.
rescue, yeah,
That's more
rescue dog.
reassuring.
Yes, we tried to help, but I
Yeah.
wish I would know what the program was called, so I could drop the name and really ruin
Yeah.
his reputation.
Because expensive process too.
It was like $400 for an hour.
every time.
Every
Like a
time.
couple of weeks of...
Yeah, that like it was. Anyway, Honey, rest in peace.
Yeah, she was a good dog if she liked you and knew you
And
otherwise.
yeah, otherwise she was not a
You
good
should
dog.
get a
She was-
dog, Liam.
Yeah, look, I thought about it. I'm
Not responsible enough. Absolutely
I'm
not. Yeah,
I'm
it's a
home
stupid
enough.
question.
I'm not home enough. I
Bring it
would
with you on
want-
the scooter.
Yeah, look, I don't know.
Get a
how
little
that's-
chihuahua.
I know that's legal. I would never buy a chihuahua.
Seems like your kind of dog. You remind me of a chihuahua.
I have a lot more respect for myself than to own a chihuahua. So, chihuahua owners out there, love you, but not for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well
Now,
done. Good purchase.
serious question. So, always in the racing industry, I just see these horses that look so depressed. So, why does every horse have such a long face?
Wow, I actually have nothing to say for once in my life.
No answer. Will remain not an answer for years to come. What a
The
shame.
horse psychologist can't really get to the bottom of that one, can
Some
they?
things I don't know. Yeah.
Are there actual horse psychologists?
No.
There's dog
That's not a thing.
psychologists.
Well, that's what I
No, like
mean.
you've got
So maybe that's-
physios and all
that's a-
the rest,
that's a
but
gap in the market.
chiropractors and
It's a gap in the market if you're
yeah.
If you're a good
I mean,
enough liar.
maybe there is. Maybe I just don't know.
if you're a good enough liar. It seems like something you should know in your industry. If there's horse psychologists
absolutely
out
not. Like I don't think it's a thing.
These physios, are they like they go to university to be a physio?
Yeah.
there. What, horse physios are different to
Yeah,
a
a lot of
human?
them have been human physios too. There's progression.
Is there a
to
different
animals.
course to be a horse?
Well, I assume
physio?
so. Yeah, it's a different anatomy. Like,
Yeah, well,
I hope so.
I'm just asking simple questions, just don't shoot the messenger. I want to know because I've never heard of it. First
This
of
is
all,
common sense,
I want
but
to know
yeah.
the transition. I'm done with human beings. I want to go do this course to be a horse liar.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever, massage.
They're massaging, they're strapping, all
yeah,
these
there's
things.
acupuncture. There's everything.
Wow.
Everything you can imagine.
Wow, there's just a whole new
Yeah.
world out there. We just
Man.
there you go,
I ask these
kids.
questions all day. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
I'm
Do you want to win
excited.
races or don't you, Toby?
I do.
Well, you've got to have
I
your
think-
horse at peak condition.
Think wherever you land next, maybe look into the horse psychologist if you really want to get to the bottom of how the horse is feeling, and and even a
It's just getting
psychiatrist
deep.
maybe
It's getting
just
deep.
prescribe
I don't know if
medication.
that's for me. Ah, but yeah.
I don't know.
Bit of this, bit of that.
I don't know.
I'm gonna stop the flirting for a second. So like now I must ask as well.
Wow,
I just wanted to ask.
That
wow,
won't do me.
Is it true that horses only sleep for 1 hour a night?
No.
that's dolphins.
No. I thought it was horses. How long do they sleep for?
Absolutely not. They sleep. They like. I don't know exactly the number, but they sleep all night.
They do
Like,
sleep.
They
They
when
lay
it's dark.
down.
They lay down. They sleep. When you get they wake up when we turn the lights on at 3 a.m.
Obviously, I haven't done too much
I want,
research. Hey,
no. I want
Yeah.
someone to Google this right now. How long do horses sleep for on their phone? Because I'm pretty sure it'll come up with the answer 1 hour.
1 hour. I don't think so. Toby.
No, I think the answer is that. I'm not saying that.
Okay, all right. Don't it's like when you Google what's wrong with you, like a doctor, like
Dr. Horse.
why does this hurt?
Let's find out.
2.9 hours.
2.9 hours. That's
They
what it
only
said.
sleep for around 3 hours within a 24-hour period.
Because they're so big, they need to pump the blood
That's
around
very
the
true,
body.
but they can also sleep standing up, so they just nap a lot too.
Oh, so they're just on the nod constantly.
As well as lying down.
I
yeah.
want to know the study, how big this pool was. They made it tested how many
I
horses.
don't know. Yeah, that's your.
So you don't know these questions about every horse we're going to
It
ask?
also
Well-
depends on how they're feeling, mate. I just want to know, like, if they're having a down day,
Depressed,
they
you
sleep
know.
longer. If they're happy, then I love
How
how
rude.
it's like they're changing headsets this episode. I can just hear everyone breathing. It's just like it's really
It's
comforting.
so nice, yeah.
Everyone breathing together. One finish.
so disturbing.
Namaste.
didn't breathe
It's like
in. You're not a part of the
it's coming
team.
from both sides. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you,
Namaste.
You obviously didn't join the club. You're a part of this team for one episode. Please breathe. One more time. Feel better already. You know, a little bird
I'm
sanctuary.
disturbed.
It's disturbed. That's exactly what we wanted out of our
Do I
first
need a
female
safe word?
guest. We'll stick with pineapple, as we discussed earlier.
Okay, you have to stop flirting.
Pineapple's
okay, we'll move on to the
perfect.
next
Absolutely.
Episode.
Pineapple's perfect?
Pineapple's
I thought
perfect.
your horses that you train are perfect. Let's get to the bottom of that.
Well, they are, but it's not. Safe. It's completely different.
How many horses are you training at once?
Well, Gay had 140 in work.
Jesus. Okay, but
So-
she's giving her time to each
Are you
140 inch
responsible?
horses.
Are you responsible for all or just a certain number?
Or
All?
I see them all every morning.
Okay,
Watch
who's your
them all
favourite?
work every morning.
Who was your favourite then?
Who was my favourite? A horse called Conte Patiro was my favourite.
Why?
Such a
She
nice
was-
nature.
She was this mad thing that got imported from America. Like the maddest thing you'd ever meet. And
Yeah, okay.
you were probably just a bit similar, I guess.
Right.
MAD.
Just bonded, you know.
right.
What happened?
Won a few good races here, won a few Group 1s. And
Oh, yeah, nice.
So when you're in the early days of track work, training a horse, what are the characteristics you look out for in a good horse? Obviously, I know speed and how long can
I
I
think
hold it
it's
for, but what do you
absolutely.
really...
I think it's like a good athlete. Like some horses do things a lot easier than others. You know, when you're riding a horse and doing the same times of one horse and the same times as another, like one horse you'll be like hard on the bridle, like trying to go quicker. You'll be like, this horse is doing it so much easier than the other horse that you could feel was struggling. You know what I mean? The same work.
Yeah, okay.
And they're at the same fitness. So you can, it's not hard to work out, and the times that they can run just without any pressure.
Okay.
It's that attention to detail you talk about. Hey, I know
It's all those little things.
couple of my mates are
and
mad
how
at
they
the-
recover from
mad
when
at
they
the-
come off the track,
mad at the punting. They're like, oh, this horse is gone. I'm like, it looks the same as the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
ones.
yeah. Because as soon as
Runs
you can
differently and
see
its
when
head-
when a jockey is holding onto a horse's head, like they're going well. As soon as they come under pressure, they're asking,
moves a lot.
they're asking for an effort. So the longer a horse doesn't have to be asked for an effort, the better off you are.
Okay.
It means it's got more left at the end of a race.
Well, that's in the tank.
Yep.
Yearlings are 2 years and younger horses?
Yearlings are 1 year and younger.
I was close. You didn't know that. So
2-year-olds obviously
but
2 years
you
and
obviously
younger.
neither did you.
and
You've obviously
so
done some sort
we
of
start racing
counselling.
horses from 2-year-olds, which
Okay,
is the
so-
pinnacle in Australia.
the 2-year-olds are the pinnacle?
2-year-old, just like so much rich racing for 2-year-old horses.
What's the go there?
Well,
What's
the Golden Slipper, Magic Millions are all very rich races for 2-year-olds. So you go buy a horse at the sales, and if it wins a big race as a 2-year-old, you're getting your investment back very quickly.
Straight away.
It's where the richest races are in Australia. You got the Melbourne Cup and that, but
And you
it's
missed
such a long road to get there with so much injury risk, and to run that distance, you're talking like 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. It's very easy to buy a 2-year-old, try and get your investment back very quickly. If they're very good, they'll go to stud, earn you heaps of money.
If not, just
So that's just Australian
Dog
race.
food.
Absolutely not. Oh my god.
Glue factory.
So that's where it's at. That's why a lot of Europeans will come over here and shut up, Liam. Win the Melbourne Cup, because over in Europe they breed horses to run long distance.
Yeah,
And
okay.
in Australia we breed horses as sprinters, because that's where our rich races are. It's also,
Other than Melbourne Cup, of course, which is...
other than the Melbourne Cup, it's more prestigious.
what are they doing
Yeah.
before they're two?
I was
Just
going
cruising?
to ask,
Just
yeah.
cruising.
Just cruising, and they get broken in as yearlings. So they get
Yeah.
taught to be ridden, and they start their light training, and they build up to
Start
2-year-old.
young.
Yeah, and if they look like they're going to show potential to run in the 2-year-old races, you'll push on. If not, you'll put
Dog
them out.
food.
You'll put them out for a rest and bring them back when they're 3. Like
Just put 'em out
more
for a year?
mature. Like
Oh, really?
So your time, like if you were a horse, you'd be like 6 before you're mature. You know.
Yeah, give me
Yeah,
enough
of
chance. Give me enough chance to grow up. What would you be dead before you could ever have a crack?
Yeah, I'll be gone.
You wouldn't make it.
Yeah,
mate,
you just be dog food from day one.
Yeah.
Straight to the
Born.
glue factory, man.
One day. Oh, he's gone. Don't worry about
That's
him.
it.
I have a question, Liam.
Pet, you're a pet. Oh, here we go.
What have you done so bad to the people in the lovely country of New Zealand that you have to wear a muzzle to be walked?
Please explain.
I can't say that on the podcast. We'll have to address that issue off the podcast.
That sounds Very naughty.
Look, I don't want to talk about it. It's, I've got a few conditions with the government over there. I can't really talk about it publicly. So.
All right, well, I want to ask you a question as well, Liam, actually,
go.
since
Love
we're on
to.
the theme of asking Liam questions.
Yeah, please ask away.
The scooter drive over here,
Oh, yes?
you enlightened me as to something that you might have been sitting in.
Yes.
Well, I'll
I'm
ask.
so glad you brought this up because I'm really confident with the answer now.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the time to think.
Are you still
I'm
wearing...
going to stay out of this, yeah.
No, yeah, please, just observe.
I was sitting on the back of the moped, Toby driving like a lunatic, but I needed to pass some wind. No one was going to smell it. I'm on a moped. I'm on the back of,
Were you stopped or?
Oh, no, they were flying. It's 90 k's an hour or so.
Just a side note, glad that our first female guest is hearing this story.
Yeah,
Go
it's
on,
really
yes.
great. Yeah, good for the
stuff.
community. It's really good I thought there was a bit of follow through on the. I was confident actually of the follow through. Just didn't feel right, and I was like, well, I've got 25 minutes till I get off the scooter. I'm just gonna have to cop it.
So we're in the Harbour Tunnel. We're in the Sydney Harbour Tunnel. That photo that was sent in
I
WhatsApp.
got the selfie.
So just after he
Yeah.
sends the selfie, he leans over
minutes
to
later.
Someone
me.
in the face was like,
10
Yeah.
minutes later, after this has happened, I just thought, I was gonna cop this until we get off the bike and maybe address the issue.
You know, but Liam leans over in the Harbour Tunnel and says, Toby, I think I've shat myself. I'm 90% sure I'm sitting in my own shit right now. And I'm like, Liam, that's great information. I'm really
Yeah.
glad you told me. I have so much to do with that.
Yeah, and he goes, I can't wait to bring it up in the podcast. So
No,
thank
that's what you said. You said you want to bring it up, and then I just made it
Yeah,
up.
I
and
forgot.
did it.
Well, no, when I realised it was a false alarm, which I was.
So it was a false
did you go
alarm.
to the bathroom since you got here? Like,
had
still
to
check?
check. Had to check. Yeah, even if it was there, I was going to leave it for you, but.
So the undies
This
still
is
being worn? Come over here, Rick. The undies are still being worn.
Yeah, undies are still there. They're still
Prove
intact. Yeah, well, it was like me to. We can go downstairs and.
No, just like give me a little
Oh, the
waistband
undies
check.
are here. Look.
Okay.
Yeah, look, they wouldn't still be on, would they?
They would not be.
Anyone out there want to
No.
see? Undies are still here.
I've never had this problem.
Yeah, you do.
Riding
On a
horse is
horse?
scary.
On a horse halfway down the track, you're in front. Right. I just want to let one go through the keeper. You got to keep going. You're not going to stop, are you?
Oh, well.
Ever heard about that? Any stories like that?
No, not really. But
you
I
guys keep it.
guess it may be something I don't know about. Absolutely, just gotta keep going. It's the same scenario, I guess.
Like, what about, has anyone ever pissed their pants on a horse? Like, surely that's like.
Yeah, probably 'cause
Anyway, let's just reel this back in.
I feel like it's actually must be disgraceful if Toby Eric Rudolf is reining in the
Tobias.
conversation.
Yeah.
Tobias. And nice to meet
Tobias.
you, Tobias.
Yeah.
I know nothing about football, so sometimes like I watch it, I'll be like, oh, there's Liam. What are you doing? What are you doing? Now I can be like, Toby, what are you doing?
Tobias.
Tobias.
yeah.
Tobias.
Please.
Like, what are you doing? I don't
Just
know
show the-
anything.
show the
But how good
respect.
was Origin?
So
Depends.
bad.
Depends.
I was so
You're a
happy.
scumbag Queenslander.
Oh, you are
Yeah.
too. So where'd you grow up in Brisbane?
So my parents are out at Mount
cares?
Tambourine.
Mount Tambourine.
Yeah, yeah.
I went there. Very pretty mountain.
Yeah, so I grew up out there, but then I moved into Brisbane for work, so like Hamilton.
Hamilton is a
Yeah.
great part of the world.
It is.
So much fun.
Is it? Well,
Well-
what? Tell me what's so good about
I
it.
will.
Good experiences.
Obviously,
Correct.
You met
So-
someone nice.
So remember
A
that
good
house
time.
that you came to when I was staying in Brisbane? Turks'
Turks?
house.
Oh, yeah.
That's Hamilton right there. Like that was a really nice house. It had some good times in there. Every now and again we'd go to Eagle Farm, I believe.
Yeah,
was next
Eagle
door.
Farm,
There'd be wherever the trots were as well. The
Oh,
trots.
right near the Brecky Creek there.
That
whatever
one there.
it's called, yeah.
That was a lot of fun and just had some good times when I was living in the racing industry, in the racing world, which I
It's
was
a good
immersed
spot
in
to
for 6
live.
weeks.
Yeah, it's a good spot to live.
It was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
It's a small city. isn't it?
Oh, I wanted to ask as well. This is the
Oh,
die-hard
here
question.
we go.
So, thoroughbreds are over here. The trots are over here.
Hmm.
You guys don't seem to like each other very much. You guys seem to have someone is
Their beef.
there's beef. There's beef. Kind of like, I feel like it's like a league and union type.
Superiority
of beef.
type thing, though. Thoroughbreds
Absolutely.
racing
Our
is
thoroughbreds is elite. Like,
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
You got
you
it
got
so
thoroughbreds
easily.
and they're standard breds. Like, they're literally like mongrels.
So you just look down on your
Mongrels.
nose.
The trots are mongrels. Rabid mongrels.
Yeah.
So Alana, you're thinking about starting your own stable?
I think there's a few steps. You
yeah.
just
Missed
finished your current.
missed a few steps there, but I
You
have
just-
recently parted
yeah,
with the
you just
Waterhouse
finished your
stable,
current employment.
and there's a few things in the pipeline. You haven't paid me enough to disclose that.
Okay, fair.
So it's
thought you
like
were paying us.
you've got the free subscription here. So
Oh,
like
wow,
if
I
you pay
like
a bit
it.
more,
Oh.
you get you know how it works.
OnlyFans,
yeah,
like
like
you're
you
trying
know,
to upsell us.
essentially, but no.
Different levels. Different levels
you
of
would know,
information.
you'd know,
Yeah, I don't
absolutely.
subscribe. Toby has a few.
So eventually, yes.
So your 5-year plan, let's say you want to be successful in having your own stable and
Absolutely.
And Barry Gay
winners.
and Barry Gay Water has to stay.
Absolutely. Like this podcast number one. Like straight to the top.
You just did number one. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you've been hanging out with horses too much. And that's actually true.
No, I was going straight to the top, Liam.
Oh,
that could be a whole hand.
to the top. All right.
You know what I thought about? We should change our name from Stuck in the Middle to currently number 1 in Australia.
Anyway, Alana, we're back to you.
Don't you reckon?
Number one in Australia.
So, come on our podcast. It's currently number 1. Call it currently number 1 in Australia. Come on our podcast. It's currently number 1 in Australia.
Do you reckon that would come up in like keyword searches too? Like number one podcast in Australia? Like it would just like
Stuck in the middle.
snuck into that, yeah.
No, but it wouldn't be stuck in the middle
It's
anymore.
not stuck I'm not sure if you're paying
I'm
attention.
stuck.
Not sure if you're paying attention, obviously not. We're talking about changing the name.
To currently number 1 in Australia.
Yeah.
That would be the name.
Bit arrogant.
No, but like...
Yeah, it's a play on words. It's like,
Yeah.
ironic. Like, someone that's small, we call them, someone
Yeah.
massive, call them tiny. You know what I
Maybe
mean?
you should. Like the day I come on, you should be like now number one. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly
it's
right.
actually fitting.
That's
Perfect.
where we're going.
Let's change
but,
it.
yeah, you sort of ruined the whole momentum we had of the conversation. Now it's a pipe dream, anyway.
Anyway.
Put some sugar in your coffee.
Anyway. So, my word, that was aggressive.
It's aggressive. Wow.
Just have 20 minutes, not getting drunk, right? Get off my case.
Do you want some?
Now the
Odds.
the racing the racing industry for me quite known as being a loose industry, quite known for having a good time. Obviously the Melbourne Cup, all these races, you go to it, you get pretty blind, you get pretty loose, you have a good time.
Very social.
Controversial.
Very social. That's the way
Very
to put
social.
it.
Controversial stories coming out of the stables, if you will. Pun intended.
I bet there is. So same as you guys.
Oh, no,
That's
it's
what I
all
said.
alleged. It's all alleged.
Media making stuff
Yeah,
up.
media just twisting the
A
stories.
bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah.
Now,
He said, she said.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. Like this Chinese whispers.
Is there any sort of like stories that come up to come to mind? Not to put you on the spot if you can't think of anything. We
Just
can always
like,
edit it out.
I guess what he's trying to say is how many group orgies have you witnessed?
That's what I am
In
getting
the
at.
state-
Myself, absolutely not. But like I'm aware that it probably has happened.
Probably, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'm naming no names.
You wouldn't know for sure or anything.
Absolutely
there have been
not,
some
but-
leaks, and there's been some like actual
I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like there is footage, but
public or is this on your phone? That kind of
I
stuff gets sent around in the group chat.
look, I haven't seen myself. I can't vouch for this, but I have heard on the grapevine, which is very dangerous.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
this has
that
occurred.
this
So-
bit of this, bit of that. Yeah.
Things going in, things coming out.
Is it safe to say that the reason you want to start your own stable is to sort of make orgies more accepted in the racing community? Is that fair
Spread
to say?
awareness of cultural diversity. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that. I
cause. You
wouldn't
wouldn't
say
be
that.
right,
No,
yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
It's 2023, freedom of do what you want.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you wouldn't say that. What would you say?
I have no comment. I
just
have
wanna
no
make-
further comment on this.
What's your number one goal as a horse trainer in the next 5 years? What's your number?
Well, it's every
Oh, yeah,
horse trainer.
that's a
Train a Group 1. Who wouldn't want to train a Group 1 winner?
You never asked that question.
I said, what are your
I'm
goals?
still
next
fighting.
5
Okay,
years?
sure.
Oh, she likes me more. She likes my questions better.
Nah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Alana, have you got any other hobbies, interests, or anything that sort of tickles your fancy, or does
Not particularly.
no.
No, not really.
just horse training?
yeah,
I
I watch.
life?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It's more of a lifestyle than a sport. Like,
just on
pretty
that.
much watch racing all the time. Like, if you're going to train horses, it's 7 days a week. There's no break to it, right?
You guys start at 3:30 or 4.
Yeah, but some people start at 3, some people start at 4. So anywhere between that, yeah.
So obviously you're a jockey first, then a trainer. Is it the same? You're on the same schedule. Like you'd always be there at the same time. You just do different jobs.
Near enough, yeah. Yep, near enough.
Is that because the horses are morning people?
Absolutely. They're there when we get there, like, ready to go. No,
ready to
I
go.
think
Be a bit different if you
a lot of
start.
the tracks get maintained during the day. There's a lot of racing going on during the day. May not be metro, maybe country. And also climate in Australia. So
Very hot.
obviously, like, you want to train when it's cooler, like not when it's hotter. So takes less out of the horses, kind of makes sense. There are a few people starting later. It's becoming a bit of a thing, I think. In the
petition.
future, maybe I think the start's going to move to maybe 5 or 6. But also, it works for a lot of people. Like, they work in the stables that work 2 jobs. They can work early, look after the horses, and then they have a second job. I mean, so we get a lot of staff
Is that the shit
way.
shovelers you talk about?
Yeah,
Okay.
which are very important. If we
course,
didn't have
everyone has
them,
their- everyone has their
the
role.
stables wouldn't
Every job
wouldn't work.
somewhere out there is important to someone.
Absolutely.
And
And those people love those horses so much. They look after them day in, day out. They notice when there's something wrong with them. You know, all the little details. You know,
I know
they
that-
get to know that horse like a person.
I know the
so-
thoroughbreders are looking down on the trots. I'm not looking down at anyone, I'm just stating
Oh.
facts. Obviously you guys are arrogant towards people beneath you, and there's a huge hierarchy in your industry. I'm just-
Is it purely because the thoroughbreds obviously have a larger pool of money to win? Is
yeah,
that true?
absolutely. It's a much bigger industry.
It is much of your
Yeah.
industry. Is globally, it's not like more trots in one place. Or the other,
Globally,
it's
trots are
always-
very small. It's biggest probably in Australia.
Oh, really?
purely
yeah.
purely because of
Thoroughbred-
the money involved. Though,
Yeah, absolutely. Thoroughbred racing is massive all over the world. Australia is one of the biggest.
What was the
For money.
What was your COVID experience like? Because you guys kept going. You were one of the few industries that actually didn't take a
Absolutely.
break.
Massive
stop for-
turnover. That was not going to stop.
You stopped for a little bit though. Didn't like the
No, not at
activists
all,
put a
no.
stop? Was that greyhounds? Nothing.
Greyhounds,
no,
They,
greyhounds,
they,
horses.
they got
greyhounds, yeah.
politically because it was.
Yeah, but like only for a little bit until
Yeah.
they caved. And then,
Yes, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
It's a bit strange. I mean,
So
every,
like
like
the
the races
lockdown, the
stopped,
first lockdown happened, and you guys
kept going. Yeah, well, obviously, someone needs, people are at home
there's
doing
something to
nothing,
do.
so they're going to bet.
Someone needs
so
to
it's,
bet,
it's
like-
actually a better.
Yeah.
That's a
it's probably
necessity
a
in this
better.
country.
Yeah, it was
we need to gamble on something.
Yeah.
absolutely.
We
It
need
was
to
a better
keep this-
turnover. Everyone was sitting at home. Perfect. Have the races on.
I think it's purely like for the economy. Like it's such a massive
For the economy,
stimulant.
100%.
Yeah, the amount of money involved.
So it wasn't too hard to keep it going. No crowds. Everything was like,
Is it different running a horse with no crowd?
100%. Because some
Really?
horses, get really G'd up by the crowd, and it's a
Really?
bad
Oh,
thing.
really?
Other horses that are really relaxed need a crowd to switch them on. So it's like detrimental to some, better for others. Like,
Suppose
that
makes sense. I know it's an animal.
yeah, it's
but,
an
like,
atmosphere.
We're
So
animal limb. We
Yeah.
are.
some
we're
horses
animals.
can't cope with it, so it was better. Some horses thrive off that.
Underdogs emerged.
Yeah, it's a
Really?
completely different atmosphere to
How did-
perform under. So.
How did you find playing with no crowds in COVID?
Yeah,
Tobias, sorry.
That's all right. You can call
same
me
sort
that.
of thing.
It was interesting.
vibe?
Different vibe.
Yeah.
So like it was almost like in a weird way. It was
Training?
like it was that, but it was like a pure. It was like there was no external noise. It was just the game, and that was it.
Yeah.
You could it was training in ways that you could just hear. You could hear calls. You could hear this. You could hear defensive movements. You could hear.
Did you
plays.
get used to it after a while?
Yeah, you did. You did a little bit, but it never
felt
the same. It was
yeah.
never
Never the
felt
same. No, I wasn't a big fan. Like just like the whole energy was sucked out. There was obviously points where it was normal, then all of a sudden a bit of big lull, and there's nothing around. And it's just silence and.
It was weird playing in Bacon West because they allowed people to send in their photos of themselves, and they made cutouts out of them.
Oh, on the seats?
Yeah, so my auntie actually did that. My auntie actually said, "Oh, next time you're at Bank West, make sure you go around and try and find my head." So for like an hour before the game, I was at warm up, and I was just literally just like trying to find a head everywhere, and I did. That was a pretty shit story.
Did
anyway.
you? You found it? Did you take a selfie?
I did. I did.
Yeah,
think
we
so.
did, yeah.
Thank God we got to the end of that story. That was,
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Thanks for another episode. Jesus, I thought it was better than it
I was
was.
waiting for the sweat to come.
No,
It hasn't,
I'm
but
sweet,
it's
man. I'm all good.
feel
Are we going
14.
to grow the hair back?
I reckon he's sweet.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's
It
too
looks
much-
better than I thought.
Everyone says that.
Everyone,
Here's what he said as well.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to look horrendous, but he looks. I think he looked
It's
better
not,
with
like,
short
it's
hair.
not too bad.
It's more just the
And the
effort.
aerodynamic.
Maybe you go quicker now.
Hairline.
Do you go
You
quicker
said
now?
it, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed now.
Yeah, he's going to get moved to the centres.
Acceleration. I'm better going on a
That's
horse
probably why you
stable
got
so
hurt.
far.
Maybe
You're probably
we-
going too quick.
Maybe
yeah.
we're going to change the
Yeah.
name of the show because he's not going to be in the middle too much longer with all that speed.
Yeah, gonna
And
be
push you wider.
stuck
It's not in the middle
stunning edge.
anyway.
Yeah, stuck in the centres.
No, so the middle we refer to stuck in the middle of the field is the opposition. So we're called middles.
Okay,
Middle of
I
the
always
field.
wondered.
We're in the
Okay,
middle of
all
this thing
right.
called live. On that, actually, Toby's favourite question, or his, Toby's
Yes, a question that I ask every. No, it's good. A question that I ask everyone. I think we do know the answer though. Yeah, no, it's like a surprise. No, it's actually a good question. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're trying to build it up.
Yeah. So I think we do know the answer to this. We touched on it earlier about what I ask everyone. It's called stuck in the middle. What was one stage in your life where you felt stuck, where you felt like stuck between a rock and a hard place, just a tough time? And what was that? And how did you cope? And how did you get out of it?
I think probably my injury
That's what I
was
thought it was
probably
gonna
the
be, yeah.
hardest part. I mean, I felt really stuck for a long time, and it was right when COVID first hit.
Oh, no way.
So
really?
it happened to me like literally the first lockdown, but that was when you couldn't even go like a couple of Ks from
Yeah, that was
where you
a
were.
little-
All my
yeah.
family was in Brisbane. I had no support at the time, so I think that was probably the hardest part.
How long were you in hospital for exactly before?
I was in there for a few weeks,
would've
and then
been, yeah.
rehab was like long. I was in rehab for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Just because nerve damage takes so long to repair, so they had to give it the time. So the realization of that and me going, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm going to pursue what I've always wanted to do in the future. It was probably, the moment where I was like, all right, this has probably come too soon, but let's go.
You sort of got the what is it? The balls you were dealt? No. What's the
Cards?
You got the cards balls. You got the cards you were dealt.
I don't have balls, but
Maybe
okay.
that happened too, but that was a different time.
Head, gutter. Got to get out of it. Yeah. You got the cards you were dealt.
These
Gone.
creepy
Yeah,
laughs,
so-
man.
Everything happens for a reason, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
It does. Now obviously, it's a very lucrative industry, I'm going to say.
It
to
is.
say.
Especially
It
if you own
is.
your own
And
stable,
it's
when
still
you get to the
very
top,
male dominated
When
too.
you get number one.
100%.
Very male dominated,
And
especially in the training ranks.
you would definitely experience
So like they're in
that.
the Randwick Trainers Tower when like a lot of the time Gay's not there these days. It's pretty much just me and a bunch of guys. It's full of banter. It's like boy talk. So it's very.
Must have been hard, obviously, for you.
Well, I had a
wanted
red
to-
card system. If it was bad enough to make me turn around and go, red card.
Really?
Oh, you
Yeah,
trained
yeah.
for the
Sent
boys.
out. Yeah, I
Sent out like that you did.
Oh, look,
Nah,
it's-
well, security or-
like just.
you.
Oh,
If we're
just
talking
pull
like,
up,
if we're
pull
talking the
No, no,
pyramid,
no, no,
like,
no, no, not seriously though. It's just like it's.
so if we're talking
it
like
was
the pyramid
funny.
of like, you know, there's Gay, then there was you, yeah.
Yeah.
So you had the power. You're obviously at top.
Well, I mean, look, a lot of them don't respect women as they should. So it's, you know.
But you obviously like you could tell them, you know, get
Ah,
lost
look,
or Gay. You know,
I'm
you
not
could-
short of telling my opinion. So.
Yeah, yeah. But that would have been hard to get to there, obviously, with the male-dominated industry. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there that have
It is.
experienced the same sort
I
of
think
thing.
there's a lot of stuff that goes on where I was like, if you were in an office,
Yeah,
you
HR.
absolutely would not have a job now. But
HR
there's a
would be
lot of things that
involved.
just get swept under
Is
the
there
carpet.
HR in there?
There is, but like,
It's like no
more
snitch policy.
in the office, like not so much like out, like, you know, you hear all sorts of stuff, all sorts of stuff said to you, and
Yeah, that'd
you
be
know,
tough.
nah, you get used to it. I guess I grew up with that, so you sort of just go, yeah, well, you know.
I don't know how many women listen to this podcast, but if there was a woman out there struggling in an industry male, like dominated by males or whatever, you know, if you had anything to say to her to get through it and thrive like you have, what would it be?
Absolutely.
Oi, great question.
Thanks very much,
Absolutely.
Tony.
Great
The
question.
best, like the only good question yet. Thank you for finally coming up with something constructive. Brilliant. Just keep going.
We need
Just
more
keep
of that.
Good
going.
answer, or you just going
And-
to ask me for more questions?
No, I don't know more questions from you. I think you just had, like, you know, Gay Waterhouse is a good person to look up to. Like, it's possible. Like, you can do it. You just got to keep working away. It doesn't matter what people say. You're capable of doing it, and just keep pushing.
Okay.
You'll get there. If you want it, you'll get there.
I think Jeffrey just sent a question in as well. If you'd like to, we have this thing
Okay.
where we have guests reach out and send
Oh,
us
I
questions.
can't wait.
Our amazing listeners, love you all.
What's his name, sorry?
Jeffrey.
Is there a last name or just Jeffrey?
Nah,
Welcome,
just
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. It's on YouTube. no, it's no Dharma. No Dharma here, unfortunately. Jeffrey wants to know if would you rather be on death row for something your partner did, or your partner's on death row for something you did?
I think on death row for something my partner did, because I don't think I could cope with someone
Take that bullet.
doing something for something I did. Yeah, that's too, like, guilty conscience, couldn't cope.
I never have had a partner, so I'm going to go the partner can die.
That's not true. You had a girlfriend for about 3 days.
A week last year I did in November.
So
yes,
so
yes.
say,
But
I
don't
can't
count
remember
that.
her
I don't
name.
count
So
that.
if that was your partner for the week, 1 weekend.
It's her. It's her.
It's her on death row or you're on death row?
Oh, I think it didn't last long. I don't think the feelings are that strong. I think the same answer is
not
going to
ex-
apply. Yeah.
She's very nice, and I do not know
I'm
if
sure she
listens.
was.
Well, we're still in touch. We're still friends. I don't know. If
Absolutely, she listens.
Political.
You got to be very careful now.
my answer will be. Sorry, Nat. I'm sorry.
Oh, and
Under
Nah.
the bus, your
Nah,
life's not
yeah.
your life's not as important
pray
as
for
Toby's.
Toby.
Nah.
Let's hope that Toby doesn't do any
Tobias,
crimes.
sorry.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Tobias is a good
Who's
boy.
Toby?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nat, if you are listening,
Sorry, but you're dying.
yeah, that nailed it. Liam, your answer?
Yeah, but I'll take that bullet. I'll go.
You would?
I'll go up.
You've had plenty of love in your life, and I guess your emotion would be different to mine. Though.
I've lived a good life so far. You know, I'll take it.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's it.
And then I don't have to. Look
No
at you.
noble of you.
Yeah, and I don't have to be on this
Look at me.
podcast with Tobias anymore.
Yeah, yeah, me
So
too.
win-win.
Wow. Well, on that note,
Well, you're not going to be invited back.
is there any other questions on our Instagram or?
There was nothing on Instagram. That was YouTube. So thank you,
Okay,
Jeffrey, for sending that in.
Thank you, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Appreciate it. Get some new glasses, please. Yeah. And a better attitude towards,
Life.
people.
Yeah. On this note, Alana, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
It's been great.
Well, I've got a headache, but it's been great.
Was that from laughing too much? Probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Nah, some of his questions.
You'd get Panadol
You're
a
okay.
headache, mate.
I'm okay. Oh, that's a better question. Superior. Guys, please like, comment, subscribe. Send in your would you rathers. We are really struggling to find some because no one will send them in.
Yes.
But we do have some diehard fans out there. So please, to you guys who do send them in, we love you. And if you do want to send some in and ask us any questions at all, we'd love that too. Bye.
Thank you. Love you. Yeah.
Peace. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.